This is the RSQ8. It's an SUV, so it's trendy, and it's practical, with enough room for the wife, the kids, the pram, the toys, and a dog. But importantly, it also happens to go like a nuclear missile. All right, let me show you something. Dynamic mode, traction off, launch control, brake, gas, wait, launch. Oh my God, 1, 2, 3 and a bit. Yeah, that's 62. This car is meant to do 0 to 62 in 3.8 seconds. It's just done it in 3.6. That's quicker than an Aston Martin V12 Vantage. Yep, it's quick enough to give the dog a heart attack and to scare your family into never wanting to bring the pram and the toys on a trip with you ever again. Perfect family car. But there is one big problem: the price. The entry-level RSQ8 cost £101,000. That's 12 grand more than an RS6. The top spec Vorsprung edition, with all the bells and whistles, goes for a massive £117,000. This particular car, with all the options, cost 133 grand. Ouch. Now, I'm not saying it's not worth the money. What I am saying is that it might not look like it's worth the money. Just imagine pulling into a Tesco's car park and parking next to a basic BMW X5, Merc GLE, or even the entry-level Audi Q8. Cars that cost around, what, £50,000? There's literally nothing on this that screams, I'm worth double the money. I do like this car, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing on here that screams, this is a £100,000 RSQ8 instead of a £60,000 Q8. Oh, apart from this badge, right there. But not even the whole badge, just this little red bit, that patch. But if stealth is what you're after, then it's worth looking at. It's super menacing in this carbon black finish and has an understated yet imposing kind of vibe. I love the black Audi badge on the black grille, these LED matrix headlights which have the coolest animations in the game, and they've cleverly hidden the gloss black sensors into this gloss black grille. Along the side, there's loads going on. I love the general shape of the RSQ8, but highlights for me have got to be these wheels. As standard, this thing comes with 22-inch wheels, the biggest wheels Audi's ever fitted to a production car. But these aren't the 22s. Nah, these are the optional 23s. For an extra £2,100, you get these massive, massive wheels. And speaking of massive, look behind them. These brakes are 17.3 inches in diameter, absolutely enormous. I've driven cars this week with smaller wheels than these have brakes. Apart from that, I love these doors, completely frameless, nice premium touch, and they're soft close, so you don't slam them, you just place them gently against the B-pillar and they shut, just like a Rolls Royce. Also, the way it swoops back, just like a coupe. One thing I don't like has got to be this little fake vents here. Audi, come on, why? You don't need it, you don't need it. But at least you have made up for that with these amazing, and they sound great as well, quad exhausts. Mwah. Boot. This is an SUV, so it's got to be big, but it's also a coupe SUV. So, drum roll please. Yeah, that's actually decent. Audi reckon that's 650 litres, so it's 40 litres bigger than you get in the RS6. That's really good. Imagine the size of the dog you could terrify in the back of that. Don't do that, by the way, that's a joke. In the back, it's pretty spacious, and you can slide the seats back and forth. The seats also recline slightly, which can be useful. You get window blinds for extra privacy or to block out the sun, and although there's no rear seat entertainment in this model, no tablets, no wireless headphones, you can bring your own devices and store them in a variety of cubbies. Where it's a lot better is up front. Audi's interior game is on point. It looks fantastic. Not that practical, but it looks great. Let's start with these seats. They're very, very sporty. They're also comfortable, as well as being incredibly supportive, which again is important when you've got a car as fast as this. On top of that, you've got some Alcantara touches, Alcantara on the steering wheel, Alcantara on the shifter, on the armrest, as well as Alcantara on the door cards. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing these gloves. Not because I'm cold, and it's not because of coronavirus, it's because this car is a fingerprint black hole. To control this car, you're gonna have to touch it because everything is controlled via touchscreens. This bottom one is for all your climate control and this top one is for everything else. And when you touch it, it is guaranteed to collect smudges. The same goes for the center console. It's finished in this glossy black material which just looks grubby all the time. If you're driving this car and you're a bit of a neat freak, then you're gonna wanna wear gloves. or carry some kind of microfiber cloth. Maybe that's a little bit less weird. Now, practicality. You might think that because this is an SUV that it's going to be practical. It's not. You get this enormous center console, and underneath you might think that there's a lot of storage space, but there's actually not. All you get is room for a mobile phone, or maybe, I don't know, one glove. £100,000 for this SUV, and there's literally not enough space for a family-sized bag of Haribo. It's outrageous. So, practicality is a mixed bag. The design is excellent, and it's very expensive. But what's it like to drive? Audi haven't made any changes to the exterior of the petrol model, so it still has the same menacing grille, enormous 23-inch wheels, and the sloping coupe-inspired back end. Inside is the same too, with bags of space in the boot and the rear cabin, and a practical, feature-filled front. If you want to find out more about this car's interior detail, then click the pop-out banner above, or hit the link to our previous SQ8 review in the description below. We already know that Audi make brilliant fast SUVs. The previous SQ8 was testament to that. It was such a good car to drive, and this new one is no different. All SQ8s come as standard with adaptive air suspension, so if you want to, you can cruise around quietly and comfortably, no problem whatsoever. But when you want to drive like a hooligan, it lets you do that all day long. One of the problems with these massive SUVs is, of course, understeer. They shouldn't handle really well through corners, but Audi have thrown a lot of technology at the problem. As standard, all SQ8s come with all-wheel steering, so the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction to the front wheels by up to 5 degrees below 37 miles an hour. Above 37 miles an hour, the rear wheels turn slightly in the same direction as the front wheels to help improve stability, and it really works. If you want to go even further, top spec versions of the SQ8 also come with the advanced suspension package, which includes electronic anti-roll control and an active rear diff. The active roll control is brilliant. Essentially it uses a pair of motors on the front and rear axle that twist the anti-roll bar in such a way that it forces the outside wheel downwards and the body upwards to help keep the entire car flat as it goes through the bends. As for that rear diff, well, it overspeeds the rear wheel in a corner and just helps the nose to get tucked in, and the entire system works like a dream. This car doesn't understeer one bit. As for the gearbox, well, that's really good as well. It uses an 8-speed S-tronic automatic that is pretty responsive. Let's enjoy it. And I am enjoying it.